If you ask most people, what shows do they want to be on? You'll hear the big names. Joe Rogan, Brene Brown, the big podcasts. But there's also some people that say, well, I won't be on a podcast that's got a smaller audience than mine. And I've got my opinion on that. But let's talk and see what other thought leaders do. Hi, this is Tom Schwab with Interview Valet, and I've been on over 1,200 podcast interviews. I've got my opinion, but you've got your opinion. Let's look at what some thought leaders do. One of the people I really look up to is Seth Godin. I mean, he's got a huge tribe. And yesterday I was struck. He was on a great podcast. He was on the Entrepreneurial You podcast hosted by Henneke Porter. Now, Henneke has got a great podcast. She's out of Jamaica. It's in the top 15% of all podcasts. And Seth came on there in order to celebrate her 200th episode. After 4 years, she has been doing this, has built up this tribe. But you know what? Seth Godin, I looked, he's got 300 times more people on Twitter than Henneke has in her audience. And you could say, well, why wouldn't he just tweet out to his tribe? Well, clearly he sees value in that connection of getting to specific audiences, talking to them, even though they're smaller than his own. Let's look at somebody else here. Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is a legend. He's huge. He packs stadiums with hundreds of thousands of people that pay to be there. Why would he go on a podcast that doesn't have hundreds of thousands? Well, the reason is because he must see value in it. And you can tell when Tony's got a new course coming out, if he's got a new program, a new book, he starts making the circuit. He'll be on radio shows. He'll be on podcasts. Now, he might not give them a full hour, but he's definitely wants to get in front of those audiences because he sees value in it. Well, let's look at somebody else here. Pat Flynn. Now, Pat Flynn has got a podcast called Smart Passive Income. If you don't know Pat, you're missing out. He is often called the nicest guy in podcasting. And once you learn who he is, you'll agree. Now, Pat has helped out so many people. He goes on other podcasts that are much smaller than his. You know, Pat is probably in the top 0.05% of all podcasts, but you'll see him going out to different podcasts. Clearly, he finds value in it. Last person I'm thinking of is Jordan Harbinger. Jordan Harbinger, when he switched his podcast from The Art of Charm to his own podcast, The Jordan Harbinger Show, he realized that he needed to get out there and tell people. He had an audience, he had a platform, he had a following on all the social media, but he needed to tell his story, what was happening. And there was no better way to do that than on podcast interviews. And guess what? Those podcast interviews were all on shows smaller than his. He saw value in it. You see, bigger is not better. Better is better. And if you can get in front of a room of the ideal people, if they'll listen to you, if they'll give you their undivided attention for 30, 45 minutes, what a gift, what a blessing that is. And podcasts aren't like radio where I get on and there's 4 million people that could be listening. Well, no, with a podcast, they have 100% opted in to listen to you. The studies say that 70% of the people listen to the entire episode. So I really think we need to focus more on connections, right? We're one conversation away. Let's start thinking about connecting with people. You know, I heard a story recently from a gentleman, and he is super connected. And he shared this about one of the podcasters he knows. And he said, you know, it's interesting. Early on when I helped him, he knew who I was, all the rest of this. And he was more than happy to take my calls and do the rest of that. But then all of a sudden he went up another rung and he wouldn't talk to anybody down below. He was always reaching up. He was, as this guy said, he was using people to get to the next rung. I believe really important that it's important to surround yourself with great people. And by that means some people that are ahead of you, some people that are peers, and even people that are behind you and behind you in different ways, right? We're all ahead of some people in certain ways, behind in the others. But it shouldn't just be, I'm going to leverage their audience. I'm only going to go bigger and better and then forget about the ones below that. I think about this for physical stages too. Some of my favorite conferences out there. I love Michael Stelzner's social media marketing world, and I can't wait to get back to live events. And he does great networking there. But as I think about that, the keynote speakers he has, there's not a single keynote speaker there that has a following less than the number of people in the room. And for the keynotes, there's probably 5,000 people. I don't know, maybe 7,000 people that are listening there. But all of the people up on the stage, they've got a bigger audience already. Now, why would they fly to that event? Why would they spend all of that time? Why would they do that on their own dime if there wasn't value in it? So I would just challenge you. If you think, I've just got to get on podcasts and audiences that are bigger than mine, you may be losing out. You may be missing something. Look at what the big people do. Look at what the true legends do. And you could probably learn something from them. Put down your thoughts down below. Would love to hear your conversations, your ideas on this. We're all one conversation away.